The fan decorative stitch. This decorative stitch is a 3-row pattern created using a combination of increases and decreases. The stitch uses 2 different size mesh sticks. One produces a loop twice the size of the other. For this demonstration, the 3/8 inch flat and the 3/4 inch flat mesh sticks will be used. I will begin with a piece of netting that has 3 rows of plain diamond mesh netting and 13 loops in each row. I created it using a 3/8 inch flat mesh stick. Row 4 uses a 3/4 inch flat mesh stick. Net 1 knot in each loop for 2 loops. Net 4 knots in the next loop. Now we come to the portion of the row that needs to be repeated. Net 1 knot in each loop for 3 loops. Net 4 knots in the next loop. Now to repeat those steps. Net 1 knot in each loop for 3 loops. Net 4 knots in the next loop. Because this piece of netting started with only 13 loops, we just need to repeat these steps once. The row will end with net 1 knot in each loop for 2 loops. There should be 22 loops in the row. Row 5 uses a 3/8 inch flat mesh stick. Net 2 loops together. Net 1 knot in each loop for 3 loops. These 3 loops are the closed loops formed in the previous row when 4 knots were net into 1 loop. Here we are again at the portion of the row that needs to be repeated. Net 4 loops together. Net 1 knot in each loop for 3 loops. Now to repeat those steps. Net 4 loops together. Net 1 knot in each loop for 3 loops. The row will end with net 3 loops together. At the end of row 5, there should be 13 loops. Row 6 uses a 3/8 inch mesh stick, just like row 5. Net 1 knot in each loop across the row. There are still 13 loops on the mesh stick when this row is finished. 2 more rows of plain netting finish this sample. In a bigger project, rows 4 through 6 can be repeated. The number of loops needed for the fan decorative stitch is a multiple of 4 loops plus 1 loop. Some examples would be 9, 13, 17, 21, 25, and 29. When I named this stitch Fan, I was thinking back to my childhood. I received a folding fan as a gift before I even started school. I loved the way it was small at one end and then spread out to be so much wider at the opposite end. This stitch is similar. In addition, the closed loops of this stitch remind me of the folds of the fan I had as a child.